What's up, sports fans? This is the Lucas Ross Sports Channel. We continue here with my 2024 predictions for the upcoming 2024 college football season. The USC Trojans are up next. USC coming off a bit of a disappointing year last year in 2023. They were 8-5 last year. They did go to a bowl game, but they did not even come close to making it to the Pac-12 championship after making it a couple years ago. But my thoughts on this team, though, for 2024. You look at the offensive side of the football, we know they're going to be really explosive on that side of the football, of course, with Lincoln Riley calling plays. Caleb Williams, of course, gone at quarterback. I mean, that's obviously going to be a huge loss here for this USC team. One of the best quarterbacks, mainly for USC in the last couple years. So now Miller Moss takes over. I mean, I don't really know what the future is going to look like for him at quarterback, but I think he'll be pretty solid for them. And then defensively, you have a lot of question marks for USC. They were definitely not really good on that side of the football last year. They did change up a few things on the defense this year, and hopefully they can get that situated and definitely be a really good defensive team. But I do have some concerns there for USC's defense. So let's now get to the schedule here for 2024. And this is the schedule here for USC as they head into their first year in the Big Ten Conference. Again, they were 8-5 last year in 2023. So let's go game by game now and give you a record prediction here for the USC Trojans for 2024. And of course, first game of the season will be on Sunday night before Labor Day on September the 1st. They'll play LSU here at Las Vegas. I've already done my LSU prediction, and I did choose the Tigers to win this game. I did say this game can probably go two different ways. It can definitely be like a low-scoring type game. It's going to be a very competitive game, don't get me wrong, but it also could be a shootout here between these two teams. Both teams have really good offensive teams. LSU is a very explosive offense last year, but with a new offensive coordinator, will they be good and very explosive that they've been in the last couple years? I don't really know. With Jaden Daniels gone and, Caleb Williams gone, both of these teams might not be really explosive on offense in this game as of right now. I think, first game of the season, I mean, obviously you're kind of, start to feel things out a little bit for both of these teams. I think I do expect a competitive game, though. It probably could be a low-scoring type game. But I've already done my LSU prediction video, and I did choose the Tigers to win this game. I think LSU might be the more talented team here, and they're definitely the more well-coached team as well. So I'm going to go with the Tigers here to knock off USC here on the Sunday night game before Labor Day here on September 1st. Again, that game will be in Las Vegas on a neutral site field. And I'm pretty sure I saw a time for this game. I believe it's like a 7:30 kickoff, so it's going to be a night game here between these two teams. So I got USC starting out 0-1, but then they take care of business against Utah State here on September the 7th, so that puts their record now at 1-1. They actually get an early bye week here before playing their first Big Ten Conference game on the road at Michigan on September 21st. I think that's a pretty okay spot for a bye week here for USC before you play on the road here at Michigan, and especially for your first Big Ten Conference game as a Big Ten team. Michigan, not going to be the same team as they were from last year. Offensively, you do have some concerns there. I mean, obviously, new coaching staff for Michigan, and then, of course, defensively. I think they'll still be pretty solid on that side of the football. Tough place to play here at Ann Arbor. I think Michigan definitely clearly is the more talented team here. They're playing at home in this one, so I think Michigan's defense also is going to give USC some, problems on the offensive side of the football. So I think this is a low-scoring type game. I'm going to go with Michigan here just because they're playing at home. And again, they're definitely the more talented team here in this one. So I'm going to go with the Wolverines here to give USC their second loss of the season. Next game, they play at home against Wisconsin here on September 28th. I already done the Badgers prediction video from last week, and I did choose USC to win this game. Wisconsin's a veteran team. Don't get me wrong. They're very talented. But I think USC playing at home, this game probably can it could be like a low-scoring type game as well, and it also could be a shootout here between these two teams. But I'm going to go with USC here just because they're playing at home. Kind of hard to go against USC when they're playing at their home place. It's a very tough place to play as well for Wisconsin if they're playing on the road here at USC as well. So I think USC gets their first official Big Ten Conference win against Wisconsin here, and that puts their record now at 2-2. Next game is on the road here at Minnesota on October 5th. Another very tough game here on the road for USC. USC, a very tough place to play. Minnesota, one of the most consistent programs in the Big Ten. They're well coached, and they're definitely really good on both sides of the football. I think Minnesota is going to want to run the football in this game and keep that USC explosive offense off the field for as long as possible. So I think this is going to be a game where I think Minnesota probably runs out the clock a lot in this one. They're going to really definitely focus on running the football. And this is a veteran Minnesota team as well. So I think they're definitely right on the level of USC's talent and everything. So with that being said, Minnesota does pull off a win here. Again, I think that when they run the football here in this one, they're definitely going to keep that explosive offense off the field for USC. And that defense will get worn out. So I think Minnesota does win this one here. And that puts USC's record now here at 2-3. Next game is at home against Penn State here on October 12th. Definitely a big upset alert type game here. Penn State, though, is a very talented team. You got Drew Aller, of course, back at quarterback. This offense might not be the best kind of compared, maybe to some other teams on here that they played on the schedule. But this game also can go like two different ways. It can definitely be a shootout here, and it definitely could be a low-scoring type game. It's probably a low-scoring type game. I've already done Penn State's prediction video, and I think Penn State definitely is the more talented team here. I think they're definitely going to be really good this year. So with that being said, I think Penn State finds a way to win this one, even though it's a home game here for USC. So that's back-to-back losses there for the Trojans. That puts their record now at 2-4. And then they play Maryland here on the road on October 19th. Another very tough road game here for USC. I don't think the Terrapins are going to be the same team like they were when Talia Tagovailoa was at quarterback, but they could be still a very explosive offense. This probably could be a game that could be a shootout here. The Terrapins are also like one of the most consistent teams in the Big Ten, right around like 6 or 7, 8 wins, something like that in that range. This is a tough one to call. I've been back and forth on this game just because it's on the road. If it was at home for USC, I definitely would go with the Trojans here, but I'm actually going to go with Maryland here just because they're playing at home. I think both rosters are pretty even. Maybe USC has the more talented team, but I'm going to go with the Terrapins here to knock off USC here in this one. And then after that, they'll play Rutgers at home here on October 26th. So after 3 losses in a row here for USC, I think they're desperate for a win at this point here in the month of October. The Rutgers, though, are going to be really good this year. I think the Scarlet Knights are going to compete in this game. I think their defense is going to really give USC's offense some trouble in this one. USC, though, is playing at home in this one, so I do expect USC to really bounce back here after 3 losses in a row. So I think USC does beat Rutgers here for their second win in the Big Ten Conference, and that puts their record now at 3-5. And then after that, they'll play Washington here on the road on November 2nd. I did my Washington prediction video from yesterday. I think this game is going to be a shootout here. I think both teams are pretty even. I know Washington lost a lot of production from last year, but this game is on the road. It's a very tough place to play. I think Washington's team is going to be a little bit better by the time they get into the month of November as well. So I think the game's kind of similar to last year. It's a really big shootout, but I'm going to go with the Huskies here because they're playing at home, and that's a 50-50 game. It really can go either way here, so I'm going to go with Washington to knock off USC here in this one. And then USC gets a bye week here. They get their second bye week here before they play Nebraska here at home on November 16th, so their bye week comes in the second weekend of the month of November. This is a Nebraska team I think is going to be really good this year. A lot of production coming back here from Matt Rule's second year, but I think both of these teams are pretty even. You look at Nebraska, I mean, obviously they lost a lot of close games from last year, so maybe that does come back to them again this year, but this is a really close game. But coming out of the bye week, right after a loss to Washington, I think USC will be fired up for this one, and I think they're desperate for a win at this point because they need 3 more wins to get to a bowl game, so I think USC does get their 4th win here of the season. It's a close game, though, against Nebraska. Again, I think it could be a low-scoring type game here between these two teams, but I'm going to go with the Trojans here to knock off Nebraska at home. And then after that, they'll play rival UCLA here on the road on November 23rd. Obviously, a new head coach here for UCLA, Deshaun Foster, now taking over down there. This is a pretty even matchup still. I mean, both of these teams are pretty even. It's obviously a rivalry game. You never know what can happen. UCLA might not be really that good this year. I don't think they're going to be really terrible, though. But, by the time when they get into the month of November, they'll definitely be better by this time. And UCLA with a first-year head coach and everything, they'll get used to the new coaching staff as well. So I do expect a shootout here in this one. It's on the road here at UCLA. A tough place to play here. I've been really back and forth on this game. It's kind of hard to predict these rivalry games when they're really both pretty even matchups. So with that being said, I think home field advantage might be the difference here. I'm going to go with the Bruins here to knock off UCLA. Maybe it's even an upset. I don't really think it's an upset just because USC is sitting there at 4-6, but I think UCLA does beat USC here in a close game. And again, like I said, it probably could be a shootout as well. So I got USC losing their 7th game here of the season, and then the final game at home against Notre Dame will be on November 30th. I've already done my Notre Dame prediction video maybe like 3 weeks ago, and I did choose USC here to pull off this win. I think it's definitely one of those upset alert type games for Notre Dame going into the end of the season and everything. Notre Dame probably battling for a playoff spot. But USC is sitting there at 4-7 at this point. Maybe the Trojan fans won't be really fired up for this one, but of course it is a rivalry game. I think you can really be fired up for any rivalry, just like the UCLA game and then of course Notre Dame game and everything. So I think this is a really close game, but I'm going to go with USC here to pull off a huge upset here at the end of the year. So I got USC finishing with a record of 5-7 here for 2024. I know USC fans won't really like that record, but this is a very tough schedule here for the Trojans. You got LSU in the non-conference, you got Michigan on the road, you got Minnesota on the road, Maryland on the road, Washington and UCLA on the road. Those are very tough games on the road. And then you got Penn State here at home, which I think they can definitely win. They can probably go 6-6 or 7-5. I definitely see USC doing a lot better than my prediction at 5-7. And it's really hard to predict these games in the early part of the offseason just because we don't know what's going to happen here once we go into the college football season. But again, 5-7 is my prediction here for USC for 2024 for their first year in the Big Ten Conference. So let me guys know what you think about this USC team down in the comments below. What do you think their record will be for 2024? Thanks for watching this video, and stay tuned here for more sports content videos on my Lucas Ross Sports channel.